Concord has been one epic failure, and recently we heard about Concord allegedly costing $400 million just in development, never mind Sony acquiring Firewalk Studios. But now we're also hearing that the game director is stepping down after its abysmal failure. I have a few different things to show off, but before I get into the topic, if you enjoy the content I create, check out the links in the description, join the community in my live streams, and consider supporting through Patreon or YouTube memberships. Now, we've been speculating for weeks at this point about if they were going to bring Concord back in some free-to-play capacity because we knew that they had spent a lot of money on it. Now we know they spent even more, but it seems that that may not be the plan anymore. It says a new rumor claims that Concord's game director Ryan Ellis stepped down from his position after the game's abysmal failure that saw its server shut down about 2 weeks after it launched. Ellis announced the game would shutter in a blog post on the PlayStation blog at the beginning of September. He shared, while many qualities of the experience resonated with players, we also recognize that other aspects of the game in our initial launch didn't land the way we'd intended. I don't know what they were expecting to happen with this game, just because of all of the problems with it. First of all, the character designs were god awful and everybody was pointing and laughing at them. I really saw nobody except Shill saying that they were good. And then you had the character abilities that were either really standard for the genre or really poorly executed. And it did not feel like they put a whole lot of time and effort into it. I speculate that while the game was in development for 8 years, around the halfway point they scrapped what they had, and that's why it looked so bad and it just looked so rushed. Now, 4 years should be enough time for a game to be developed and released, but we know that development cycles can be pretty extensive, though it just seems to me that they had scrapped what they initially were intending to release, and 8 years did not go into the full launch. We will never really know unless somebody does come out and leak information or make a statement in maybe an interview, perhaps. But we now know that Sony apparently gave them $400 million, never mind, to acquire Firewalk. I will get into that in a second. But he then declared, therefore, we have decided to take the game offline beginning on September 6th and explore options, including those that will better reach our players. And that right there is the reason why we've all kind of been speculating that it was going to go free to play. Plus, you don't spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a video game and then only give it 2 weeks to succeed. You know, clearly the numbers for it were abysmal. They couldn't really have been any worse. So they saw those and were going, oh, this isn't going to work out. But one would have thought that they would have just put a little bit more time into it, maybe like half a year to a year of development time, put a bunch more money into it, and then really revamped the game, revamped the maps, had them create more maps, create brand new character designs, like try to make it aesthetically pleasing and a really fun, good experience, because why would they just give up on this game altogether? But maybe they aren't going to do that now. You know, there are a couple different possibilities here. They could either be cleaning house and hiring new people who will align with the direction they have to go in, which is ultimately predatory live service. There's no way they could relaunch and have it be a $40 game again. They'd have to go free to play. They would have to add loot boxes and battle passes and things that people are kind of sick of. But it might work out because then people can just click a button and download it without swiping their credit card, and that could bring new potential players in, or they could just actually be done. Over the next few weeks, we will, have to see if they do any other major layoffs, if anybody else leaves Firewalk, or if they keep the majority of people and they don't really make any statements. That would indicate that they're not actually done development. At this point, we can only really speculate, but either way, it does not look good for them because of the rumor that we just got yesterday when I'm recording this video. Concord reportedly cost $400 million to develop, and that, of course, does not include the cost of what Sony had to pay in order to purchase Firewalk Studios, which that is estimated to be about $100 to $200 million. So this is over $600 million worth of failure. This has to be the most expensive video game failure of all time. And of course, there are other games that cost more to develop in totality, like GTA 6 is rumored to be 2.5 billion at this point. We know they've spent at least $1 billion on it. Same with Elder Scrolls 6. We don't know the specifics, but it's rumored to be over 1.5 billion, could be even more because that number was about 2 years ago. So it's not the most expensive video game ever, but it's definitely up there. That is for sure. And it's the biggest failure of all time, judging by these figures. And these are rumors, so take it with a grain of salt. It's Colin Moriarty saying that he has an insider who was able to give him a lot of information. Now, he does typically vet his sources relatively well, though I still don't believe it 100% because this number is so massive and there isn't someone specific coming out and saying, yeah, this is true. And then we can kind of put a name to a LinkedIn and project pages, though I just don't see a way that this game could have cost them anywhere near this, judging by the content that we got. Obviously, they did spend a lot on it, but we got nothing with this game. I mean, every single thing seemed rushed and half-assed. If you told me this game cost them $50 million, I'd believe it. I would say, yep, seems like it. There are indie games that look better than this. There are AA level games that come out that are 100 times better than what Concord ended up being. And you have to think that Sony went out of their way to buy Firewalk Studios thinking this was going to be the next Overwatch killer, that this was going to be some mega esports game, and that they wanted this to be a franchise the size of freaking Star Wars. They really thought they were going to release this game. They were going to do like spin-offs. We know that Concord has a secret level anthology series episode, so they were trying to get into TV with this. Like, they truly thought that this might have been some big flagship IP for them, and clearly that's not the case at this point, because this is going to go down in history as one of the worst video game fails of all time, which in my opinion is hilarious. Since the moment we saw what Concord was going to be, we knew that it was not going to go over particularly well with gamers. And yeah, that clearly is what happened. People were not entertained with the content that we got. So it will be interesting to see over the next few weeks what happens if more people step down or get laid off, and then we can kind of deduce that they are actually done with the development of Concord. But if they do not, maybe that means that they are hoping to put some more time and effort into it and relaunch it in the future. I don't think a relaunch is going to help unless they scrap what they have and restart. And clearly with the amount of money, they're not going to do that. So I will be keeping my eye on Concord per usual. But for now, that's all that I really had to discuss in this video. Let everyone know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, give it a like. If you didn't, give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.